So we're gonna talk a bit about Music Man, Ernie Ball Music Man.
Yeah.
So how did your relationship with them start? I mean, what sparked it?
It's actually a funny one. So, when I was 16, I was doing some YouTube stuff, and I had a little bit of heat going with YouTube when I was like a kid, and I actually lost that account, which totally sucks. But I had some heat going with YouTube, and I was doing like covers and stuff. And I started playing with a girl that had come off of American Idol, and she placed in the top 3 or 5 or something. Anyway, I was playing with her, and I met Luke when I was really young, and it was like maybe like just on the internet or something. I can't totally remember, but one of my best friend's dads ended up joining Toto. Oh. And he's the drummer now, which is super cool. And so I think I somehow got in contact with Luke that way. Anyway, I sent him an email of me playing and stuff, and we started like getting like a little email thread going. And I just had balls of steel, I think, at 16. And I was like, Luke, hook me up with Ernie Ball, man. I need some guitars to go on tour. And he was like, okay. So he connected me with someone at Ernie Ball at that point. And so I was 16 or whatever, and they offered me an endorsement. And so I was playing Silhouettes. I don't know if you remember those. Yeah. And I don't know how you say his name, but I was a huge fan of D. Halif, or I can't remember on YouTube. It's like Dhalif. But I think I don't know, but dude, he's awesome. And he was playing a blues Silhouette, and I remember being like, oh, dude, that is such a sick guitar. And so I ordered one of those from Ernie Ball, and then they sent me some other like loaners for the tour. And it was like a JP and a Gold Roller, which was a Silhouette that they made back in the day too, and it had like 2 mini humbuckers in it. Super sick. And so yeah, I played Ernie Ball for a long time, and yeah, so that's how I got hooked up with them. And I was a huge Luke fan, but I hated EMGs.
Oh yeah,
I was like, at the time, he was using EMGs, and I was like, dude, I'm not gonna play a Luke because I just can't stand EMGs. I just didn't like them. Yeah, nothing against EMGs at all. I didn't like them. I didn't like how I sounded with them. Yeah. It was a preference thing. Yeah. But yeah, so that's what happened with Ernie Ball, and I later on ended up landing the Scott Stapp gig, the lead singer from Creed, and I'm still on that gig. At the time, he wanted everyone to play PRS guitars, and I owned a PRS that my mom had actually bought me as a present, and I loved it. I still love it. It's awesome. So I jumped over to PRS, and then when I kind of got the green light to like you don't need to do the PRS thing anymore. It's like it's not as important, like to be, and I ran straight back to Music Man. Sorry PRS. Sorry for all that stuff that went on there. But there was a 3-year gap between my Music Man endorsement. So, and I get it. Sometimes for the gig, it's like, dude, Tremonti's tone is so famous, and it's so like sought out that it's like, dude, yeah. Goes like the PRS sound is huge for that music, but now since half the set we're playing Scott tunes, it's not, his record wasn't recorded with PRSs, so it's kind of like do your own thing, and went back, and I think I emulate the Tremonti tones as well as I possibly can with patches and stuff, and for the classics, and do that anyway. Split coil stuff and then humbucker stuff, you can kind of do it with a Music Man or a PRS and kind of get it down,
Yeah. I guess
how Music Man happened.
Oh, nice. Well, I guess tech's so advanced now that you can pretty much get as close to as many tones as you want, just by spending time on tweaking stuff,
Dude. Yeah,
that's the way to go.
You can, and I'll use like the old Mesa amps and stuff on patches for the old classic songs to get that to get it as close as possible, and old Fender Twins for the clean tones and stuff.
Yeah, nice. Well, okay. Well, since we're at Music Man, so obviously you play primarily the lutes. So, what is it about that guitar that drew your attention? Is it because of the fact that it's Luke's guitar, or is there something else about that guitar that makes you want to play? Because obviously Music Man has so many great guitars. I mean, there's the JPs, there's the Luke, there's the Morse, there's the standard silhouettes and things like that. So what made you pick the Lukes over the other models?
Just the fact that it's Luke's guitar is like the cherry on the top, but it's actually not why I picked it. I picked it because I think Luke has mad swag, and he like made his guitar look badass. I loved how smooth it was. Also, his tone is my favorite out of the roster of Music Man cats. Obviously, all of them are just next level. Like all the endorsers that are with Music Man are just killer players in general. But the look of the Luke to me was like the curviest. It was like the softest kind of curviest shape. It wasn't so metal like the JPs. I think the JPs actually look awesome. Like I like the JP15 look is pretty. It's a little bit less curvy than like a PRS and a Luke. A little bit more metal, but like it's still like very gorgeous. Like I could definitely play a JP15. I could see like going down that route for having like a JP15, like a 7-string or something one day. But like for me, the Luke look was beautiful, and plus just Luke's tone in general. Like I was playing when I was using real amps, I was playing Bogners as well, and that wasn't a Luke thing. Actually, I didn't even know he played Bogners until I owned a Bogner. And I was like, oh crap, he plays a Bogner. And that was pretty cool. But I mean, he just, I don't know, man. He just, his tone, he never used a lot of gain, and his clean tones were always awesome too. So I just tried a Luke 3 ever before I got one. And I just tried one like at a music store, and I was like, oh my gosh. And it was actually one of the what are they? It's like it was like their all black model, and I was like, I wasn't a fan of like the look of that, but the tone was just awesome. I love the neck profile. Like I don't have big hands. I'm not a tall dude, so like his necks are pretty like they're very round, and that's my only hiccup with the JPs for me is since I'm not a mad shredder, I don't love the flatness of the profile. I like more of I'm more of like a blues rock kind of guy from my roots. So like I like the roundness of the neck of the Lukes. And so it just felt like at home to me. And that the pickups weren't like they weren't super overdriven, like they weren't super high wound or anything. They were just very round. Like even the bridge pickup on the Lukes are bouncy. They're not like harsh, you know. I don't cut your head off. It's more like kind of like a roundness, bouncy thing. So, yeah, it made sense for me. I was like, man, these are awesome. You know, just all round feel to the tone. I just loved everything about him. Really, the bar. He keeps 2 springs. And dude, that was complete fluke. So I mean, they come like where you can just flutter the bar, and I was like, dude, this is great. So they come out of the shop, and actually I never used 9s until I started playing Lukes. Right. I always played 10s, and on tour I play 10s because we're a half step down. But yeah, when I'm in standard, I'm using 9s now, and I think it made me play less aggressive, which was I think kind of good for my music too, because when I play live, like I'm playing Scott's music, I go straight into Zakk Wylde mode, and I'm like squealing on everything and like playing super hard. But on my music, like I play really soft, and the 9s I think kind of helped that and go down that route. So I kind of just like everything about them.
Oh, nice. So then, would you rule out the possibility of developing a signature guitar with Music Man then?
Would I rule it out?
Yeah, or would you just say, I'm happy with the Luke and that's what I'm gonna take, you know?
Hell no, dude. If I told you, hey man, you're gonna develop a signature model guitar, you can do whatever you want to do, are you gonna be like, nah, I'm happy with what I got?
No, hell no.
No, dude. No. I mean, there's so many things that I would do from like a tonal perspective, but I'm gonna be completely honest. If Music Man were like, hey dude, it's time to do a signature model. Like if I just like took off into the route where I was like doing my own music and I could like do that on a bigger scale, and it was like, it's time to do a signature model, I would, however, keep the same neck profile because I love the neck. And I don't know if you bounce through multiple Music Man models,
No,
but there's a handful of them where I'm like, is that the same neck? Because there's a few of them that really, the necks feel super at home. Like they feel really alike. But then there's a couple where it's like, okay, these are way flatter. You know, the JPs are the only ones out of all of them that are flat. That's kind of weird because you can bounce between the Albert Lee to the Luke to the Silhouette, and they're like all pretty round. But then the Cutlass, the Stingray, the JPs, they start getting a little flatter on those. Even the Valentine is kind of a lot flatter than I was expecting. Kind of different. But no, if I was gonna make my own model, yeah, there'd be some difference on the electronic side, and the look probably. I would probably get a little bit weirder. I don't know.
Really?
Yeah, probably.
Go for a non-conventional shape then.
Probably a little bit different, yeah.
Nice.
I don't know.
Well, let's see. Like, then I wouldn't be surprised. You know, one day I see you holding, you know, a Music Man that's the shape of a heart, or
yeah, dude.
It being in red, and you know, having hearts as inlays and things like that.
I'm bringing back the lightning bolt shape. I'm gonna go for it.
Well, let's hope Music Man hears this and then he'll be like, yeah, actually, we think it's time as well.
Yeah, I don't think I'm there yet, but hopefully.
Yeah, eventually, I'm sure one day you'll get there. It's just
over the next 5 years is the goal. That would be sick. I mean, dude, that's every guitar player's dream. Yeah, it's like get to make a guitar with, you know, with your vision completely in mind. That's sick. Yeah. It's like the most artistic gear nerd shit that you can possibly do.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. And then in your case, it's very different because you started tracking and sessioning since a very young age. So by now you would have already known exactly what you would want in a guitar in terms of neck profile, sound, frets, and everything else. You know, even like, you know, the number of springs in the trem, etc. You know, so you know exactly what you want. Apart from, you know, maybe the only thing that I might think that you may explore is the type of shapes and things like that. But apart from that, you know, the technical parts
just
of
pickups and shapes and stuff. I mean, like coil tapping and things like that's a pretty big one for me. Is I love split coil sounds like a lot. And I don't know about you, but like I like to explore like the telly pickups in a neck is something that's so sick to me. Like the single coil telly pickup in the neck. There's something that you can do with writing like the amount of gain. It's something that sounds sick. Like if you have a decent amount of gain on with a neck pickup and a telly, it bounces different than everything. It's different than a Strat neck pickup. Like that single coil, there's something bouncy and percussive about it that you hear a lot of guys playing with that, and it ends up being like really cool. You know what I mean? Yeah,
so that's gonna be your guitar then.
I would probably mess around with that a little bit. That's something I like with the Valentine. That's something that's different a little bit.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for then talking about, you know, your journey with Music Man. So you also touched about pickup. So then obviously you are also, you know, a fan of, you know, DiMarzio's. So
Huge.
So you seem pretty sure that DiMarzio's are the way to go. So what is it about DiMarzio's that, you know, kind of drew your attention? Like the Luke, obviously you explained, you know, why you were attracted to it. So when it comes to DiMarzio, what was, you know, the factor that, you know, caught your attention?
I fell in love with DiMarzio's probably when I first got a Silhouette. I think there was DiMarzio's, and I can't remember exactly. There was definitely DiMarzio's in it, but I can't remember exactly what model they were. But I remember getting the Silhouette when I was like a kid and being like, wow, like I love the sound of this in general. Like there's something that the DiMarzio's do when gain is introduced that becomes rounder and a little bit more singy to me. That it's not as aggressive in the top end. And I don't know if that's just my I don't know if that's just my experience, but whenever I play DiMarzios, they just respond when you're playing leads the way I want them to. And it's not like I don't have anything against any other pickup companies like whatsoever. I've had guitars with Seymour Duncans in them that I'm like, this thing sings, like this really rocks. Like I've had Les Pauls and Explorers, and I've had, you know, SGs, like a lot of Gibsons with Seymour Duncans, and I'm like, this thing kicks, you know. And like that's there, I wouldn't change it. It's like that type of guitar resonates really well with those type of pickups. The other guitar player in Stapp's band is a Seymour Duncan artist, and his tone is awesome with Seymour Duncan. So it's like I don't not dislike it, but when I'm playing leads more than rhythms, when it's like leads, I find that whenever I'm using like a Luke with the transition pickups in it, it's just like, oh man, it's rounder and it's bouncier, and I think that's the only way like that I can kind of explain it. It's the articulateness and the roundness of the leads that I can get out of DiMarzio, especially the transitions that I haven't been able to achieve with other pickups. Not that they don't do it, just that I can't do it as well whenever I'm using other pickups. I love the pickups in my PRS, like the 50. I have the 5909s in my PRS, and those sound awesome. And they're really round as well. But they're not as round or bouncy to me as the transitions. And I don't know if Luke just like really nailed it with the transitions for like the right amount of gain that I use or something like that, to where it just works. And I think that when it's not broke, like it's like, don't fix it, you know what I mean? But like, yeah, I threw DiMarzios in the 7-string GOC that I have, and it just like snapped. It was like right there. That's exactly what I was needing. You know what I mean? And it's just like, I don't know, they do it right. And I think it's kind of like what you said, like Seymour Duncans are voiced really differently than DiMarzios. And you see a lot of band guys using them, which I think is because they're fat. Like they're really chunky and they're really fat. And, you know, they also make really great classic sounding pickups.
Yeah.
DiMarzio make really great modern sounding pickups, and you see a lot of soloists using them that are doing more lead stuff. Yeah. Like, for instance, a Seymour Duncan set that I've heard on some PRSs that I'm like, oh my God, like this is so big and aggressive, is Mark's pickups. Mm-hmm. Dude, they're...
Mark Holcomb, you mean?
Yeah, dude, they're ruthless. Like, they're insane, you know, and I think that's like something that's like, if I was playing straight metal, like, yeah, dude, like, no question. You know, they sound almost like bare knuckles. They're so fat and big, you know, and that's kind of like what bare knuckles are known for. It's just like, dude, if you're one guitarist in a metal band, you need that amount of like room covered, and those pickups are so big, dude. Yeah. Like I haven't heard 7-string pickups or like baritone pickups be like have that much. You can hear every string, you can hear every little like bit of articulation with that much gain in those. Like they're sick. But for me, for what I do, yeah, I think that like that would, if DiMarzio were wanting to work with me, that would be my shot. Like that would be like my first pick for sure. They're pretty much in everything that I own except for my Valentine and my PRS. So at this point, it's like, I mean,
might as well, right? Why not?
They're already there, so it's like I'm buying them without an endorsement anyway.
Nice. Well, I'm sure that day is gonna come soon. I mean, I can smell it already in your case.
Hopefully we're not in a worldwide pandemic. We can throw some more. I would definitely put some DiMarzios in the Valentine. Like they already, like the pickups in them sound awesome, but like DiMarzio make a lot of like telly pickups in general. I've had them in tellies before and stuff. So they kill it, dude. They're really good at what they do, and they make a huge spectrum of different pickups, just like Seymour do. There's pickups for every type of guitar you can imagine.
Yeah, that's
and
true.
they're always awesome.
That's very true. But you are right in a sense that I think DiMarzio kind of focuses a bit more on like the lead guitarist route.
Yeah.
And then, you know, for Seymour Duncan's, you know, they obviously, it's more band people or heavy metal. I mean, like generally band people, not necessarily metal, you know. But yeah, like DiMarzio's, I think there's something special about them, without a doubt. And yeah, I'm actually swapping out all my pickups for Mark's pickups on my 8s, on my PRS as well, and I absolutely
really?
yeah, I am.
Too.
Yeah, because I kind of find that the pickups, because the one I got was the 5708, which is a bit more classic sounding.
They're
So
awesome.
it's really nice, but you know, it doesn't really suit what I need. So I'm gonna keep those pickups. I'm not gonna sell them. I'm still gonna keep them with the guitar. But I think I do need to swap them out for, you know, the Alpha Omega. So Duncan's actually sending me that set right now. So I really can't wait.
It's the coolest name too. If I ever get to get a pickup, how do you beat that?
Yeah,
like that's so sick, dude.
I know, like, it is sick. Yeah. So
it's like, and that's he nailed it. He's done it. And
tone-wise and name-wise.
Pickups. Yeah. PRS make great pickups. They always have. Yeah. I'm not as much as a fan of their newer ones. Like when I was with PRS, they had 15 something. I can't remember what they were called. They were like the 1557s or something. Mm-hmm. I don't know. Maybe you can correct me on that. But whatever they were coming out in their custom 24s a couple of years ago, I wasn't nearly as much as a fan as their older pickups, like the 5909s and their 5808s. And I think I had a friend that had 57 something as well. But whatever they were making back in the day, I was like really into. I don't know what it was. I think that they were nailing it on the older ones. And yeah, I mean, dude, those I could see you I could definitely see you switching those out, especially depending on what you're using, especially what you're using your PRS for. Like, I don't know if you're doing much like low gain stuff as much as you do the high gain stuff. Like, but I mean, the Alpha Omegas, do they clean up quite nice, or are they pretty much balls to the wall the whole time?
They actually clean up quite nice, because I mean, if you are into like ambient stuff, that kind of stuff. So yeah, so it actually does quite a good job, especially, you know, with, you know, the call tap, that really helps as well. And yeah, I do intend to have more high gains. On the contrary, I'm actually doing more high gain stuff on the 6 and 7, and on the 8 I'm actually toning it down, because, you know, obviously with 8 strings it's a bit hard to control that much gain as well. But I am also having, you know, the Alpha Omega on the 8 as well. So I can't wait for that to arrive. And I absolutely hate the fact that the DiMarzios on my JP7 sound so good that I can't change them. I was like, come on, like I'm supposed to be all out, you know, Seymour Duncan, but these sound too good to change.
Dude, it's like you said you're a fan of Mark, right? And you love what Mark does. Yeah. Someone like Petrucci is so OCD that I don't think he can put something out that isn't great. Yeah. Like on that level of nerdness, it's pretty hard to not do something great. You know, he's had like 35 signature guitars at this point. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, that's over exaggerating, but for real, like he's kind of nailed something. And he's the only guitar player in the band. So, you know, like he has to make something that's super thick to take up that much spectrum sonically. So it makes sense for his. I mean, like the set that I got is weird because I have the Crunch Lab in the bridge in the GOC, and then it was the Rainmaker in the neck. Oh, okay. So it was like a pickup from his later set, and then a pickup from his
older one. Yeah. Yeah.
It was kind of weird, but they sound super amazing. I really like the Crunch Lab like a lot.
Yeah, the Crunch Lab sounds like really, really, really good. And it is actually a bit rounder and a bit tight in the low end. But I'm actually a bit tempted to swap that out for Jake Bowen's DiMarzio's, the Titans, because actually thinking, because I do more percussive stuff on the seven strings, so the Titans actually make a bit more sense than the Crunch Lab. So, but I'm still thinking about it because the JP7 sounds great as it is, and I love the fact. I love that is the fact, but I also hate it that you know.
For real, I mean, and you even look at that like Periphery, right? Like Jake's using DiMarzio's and Mark's using Seymour Duncan's.
Yeah.
What does Misha use?
Bare knuckles.
Yeah, so all of them are using different pickups.
Yeah.
And it's probably for the reason that there's 3 guitar players in a band to get like sonically something so different.
Yeah.
All of them, and then it comes together. It's just like this huge wall of sound, you know?
Yeah.
Just like, and that makes sense to me. Why they would go sonically like in a completely different spectrum. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's very true.
All of their tone is awesome.
Yeah, it is quite killer. It's actually so different from Petrucci. Like you said, Petrucci has to cover like this wide spectrum all on his own. But it's crazy how he's able to do that. And when I watched them live for the first time, I was like, shit.
Like, I've never seen Periphery live, unfortunately, because I'm usually on tour at the same time that they are. Have you like, could you hear distinctly who's doing what?
No, I can't. Because I think you can, because they often play different parts. I think 3 of them, they each have their own role to play, and even if they share the similar notes, I think it's just like for a brief period. But most of the time, they're actually doing different parts. So yeah, you could kind of hear, but I mean, obviously, then you can't really hear, you know, what pickups they're using. And stuff, you know, but it was a bit unfortunate. In the show I went to, Mark wasn't there for personal reasons. But it was still a kick-ass show, you know, with Jake and Misha, and then Plini was opening for them. So that was like a amazing show.
That tour, and wasn't someone else also? Was Jakub on that tour as well?
Yeah. Yes, Jakub was with Plini. So it was a really, 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 really good one.
Yeah, and then Plini was direct support.
Yeah.
And I don't know if his name is Jakub or is like pronounced differently. Yeah, Jakub. Yeah.
I think it's Jakub. I think. Dude, I don't know either.
He's on another world. Like he's on a different planet too. I love what he's doing. He's someone in the modern, going back to like one of your like first questions. He's someone I've just jumped into recently that's inspiring me quite a lot. His brain's different, and his tone is awesome. Yeah. He's using those Mayon's guitars or Mayon's.
Mayonnaise, yeah.
Yeah, he's using the telly pickup in the neck.
Oh really? Oh wow.
Yeah, that's where you're getting some of that bouncy, clean kind of percussive tone. Something I like about his tone is you hear every single note very, very, very well. And it's because it's pretty clean, but he's crazy, dude. I don't know how guys like that think.
Yeah, he is another phenomenal guitarist. I really enjoyed watching him playing with Plini as well. It's like that was like a nice surprise, to be honest, to see him on tour.
He's kind of coming up too right now.
Yeah, and I think it's only a matter of time before he catches up with, you know, the big boys as well. I mean, he is a big boy himself already, you know.
He's hitting the scene really well.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he's been around for quite some time. I mean, with his videos on YouTube and stuff
it's
like
just starting to happen for him. I feel like the past year.
Yeah,
it takes some time sometimes for people to catch on and be like, because it's also the guitar player world, dude. You have a lot of people that they want to see if it's catching on before they like commit.
Yeah,
it's like guitar players judge other guitar players, you know. It's like true. It's like this thing. It's like, is he cool or do I just think he's cool? You know? And then it's like everyone else thinks they're cool. It's like, okay, he's cool, yeah. And they're like at the end, they're like, dude, I've dug him since like 2008. You're like, yeah, okay, bro.
Yeah, that's what every guitarist does, no? Like that sort of talk.
Yeah, it's like like, do you like him? And then the other guy's like, yeah, I like him.
Yeah, it was like 10 years ago, man. Like from his first album.
Yeah, like for me, I've loved Plini since his earlier stuff. And then it was just recently, like I got back into him when I was making my record. Like, because I would, like as a guitar player, the same thing. It's like you continue to be like, you're trying to be inspired constantly. So then when you get off of something, you're like, why did I stop listening to that? And then you go and re-listen to it again, and you're like, oh, wow, yeah, this was awesome. Like Handmade Cities, to me, was like crazy. It was killer. And that's when I first heard of him, and then I went back in time, and listened to all his past stuff and started kind of getting back in. But there was definitely some secret sauce in Handmade Cities, for sure.
Nice. Yeah, I think that is a very unique one there. Kind of funny, like you discovered Plini through his tracks, and I'm not ashamed to say that I actually knew who Plini was when he showed up at Periphery's gig, and then my mates and I were like, yeah, who's Plini? But then we see like shitloads of people at the back wearing Plini's shirts, and then they were actually there for Plini instead of Periphery, and then we're like, yeah, this guy must be something. And then when he came on stage, we were like, okay, we don't want his part to end, just go on, because obviously in gigs when you get support band, sometimes I feel bad for saying this, but then sometimes you just can't wait for the band to get off stage, so that you can watch the band you came to watch. But then Plini was like very, very different. We enjoyed every second of it, and then after that, we just got hooked, onto his music. It's amazing.
Something I share with Plini is the like the very simplistic choruses on certain songs, like 6-note choruses. And he doesn't. One thing I appreciate about him a lot is he's not trying to be flashy. A lot of the time, he just ends up being flashy by not trying in certain areas, which I think is cool. Like his rhythm parts are more difficult than his lead parts most of the time. He's doing more textural, whammy bar kind of stuff, like very singy kind of stuff, and I love that personally. He's very good with the bar.
Yeah, he is.
I appreciate that. It's more vocal, I think.
Yeah, it is, and then it's like that finesse factor about using the bar,
tone too. Yeah. Neural DSP stuff. I don't know if you've messed with the neural DSP.
I haven't yet, to be honest, but I've heard like the Plini and the Abasi ones are really good. Obviously, the Nolly ones are great as well. But then I've heard that often it's Plini's ones Plini's one that comes out on top.
Yeah, dude, go do a 14-day trial.
Yeah, I know. I should, and I definitely will. Maybe record a track with that and then see how it goes.
Yeah, maybe you should record my cover with that.
Oh yeah, maybe not a bad idea. Well, maybe I should learn how to play the song first and then sign up for the trial. That would make a bit more sense.
Yeah, dude. I would. I did a trial for the Nolly one to do my GOC review, because that big old Nolly chunks, man. He's got all the chunks.
Yeah. He understand. Let's just say he knows his stuff. That's why he's actually able to develop that as well.
Totally.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Thanks so much for sharing. What your thoughts on Music Man, DiMarzio, and also obviously Plini and Nolly and stuff. So
all
then
the inspirations.
Yeah, all the inspirations. And okay, so moving on to the next part, which also happens to be the last part of the interview. So if little Ben walks up to you today and asks for advice, what would you say to him?
Young Ben, if he asked me for advice now?
Yeah. Young Ben who just picked up the guitar.
Focus less on impressing others and more on understanding song structure, I think, and tapping into like saying what needs to be said as a player, more as in play what needs to be played and not worry about all the other stuff in between. I think, you know, it's kind of like, I think more of the playing what needs to be played and not so much of everything in between. Less notes. You know, less ego. You know, make a song, man. And I think that's something that you hear that, you know, is it's easier said than done. But, you know, when we're in a time where social media matters so much, that everyone, I think, focuses so much on impressing, less than you know, just playing like an awesome song, or knowing, you know, how to write a cool song. And I think that's so much more important than like fitting 150 billion notes in a solo, you know, unless someone knows how to do it right, which can take a long time. And obviously there's a lot of dudes that can do it really, really well, that can play a billion notes and still write an awesome song. But it's rare to see that. I would say, focus more on melody and melodic sense, and song structure than impressing, you know, a bunch of people. Because at the end of the day, it's like, if you don't have any music or have something that sticks around and catches, and you don't really have anything. You can just play a bunch of notes that mean nothing.
Yeah, that's very true. And so you make a very good point, because the focus should ultimately be making music, not anything else. So that's, if you can make, you know, great music with one note and only one note, so be it, you know.
Yeah, dude, it's always the trick that someone said to me. He's like, write a chorus melody on one string. If you can do that, then I'll allow you to use the rest of them. And that's so true, dude. I can write a chorus melody on the B string, and I think there's probably songs of mine where I literally did just use probably the B string. Like, I think on a song Edges on my album, I think I literally used one string on that chorus.
Okay, that's the song I'm gonna cover.
I'm allowing you to do that song just with one string, and no, but dude, and just to say one last thing before we get off, like, just to like back that point up of that I just said, is like, on my album, there's not one song. On that entire album, I didn't play as fast as I can on any one of those songs. Like, there's nothing on, and that's an instrumental album where there's not one song that I just was like, I'm just gonna go and play as fast as I can, or as complicated as I possibly can, because it's like, it's still, at the end of the day, even though it's instrumental, like, it's music. You're not trying to show off on everything, and there's no need, you know. Like, I can't play super fast to begin with, but like, you don't need to express yourself. You don't need to just like try and like impress everyone, because dude, there's so many people, there's so many friends that I have, and there's multiple friends I have on my album that can play double the speed of me, you know. And so like, there's no need to go and just like try and prove to everyone that's like, oh dude, I can play, you know. It's like, because dude, if you can't win over a group of people with, you know, playing like 6 notes that mean something, then like, they probably aren't going to listen to my music anyway. You know, because like, if what they're wanting is speed, like, there's so many more people I can direct in their that I can put in their inbox, like, trust me, this guy, if what you're looking for is speed, he'll do it better. You know, so it's like, that's kind of thing. I think I would focus more on music and making songs than showing off, you know.
That's very true, and thank you so much for sharing that. And I'm sure that's very valuable advice for anyone who's looking at, you know, either composing their own single or, you know, coming up with their own album. So
you're not gonna get hired on any gig as a guitar player because you can just shred. You know, you're gonna be hired on 3 things: 1 being personality, 2 being able to play the parts tastefully, and 3, Just looking cool, man. So lower your strap. Constantly lower your strap.
Oh, that's something I'm struggling with, actually.
Dude, no, I'm kidding. I look like a jazz player on a metal gig. Like I'm always like up here.
Really? Are you?
I'm pretty high, dude. I don't play low. I can't. Like I just do too many mistakes. You know, that's back to the thing. Also, I would tell young Ben to work on technique because still new Ben can't do it. So I still have bad technique, and I'll probably have bad technique till the day I
die. Well, I guess that's the same case for all of us, isn't it?
So yeah, we'll jump on a Skype lesson at a different point so you can teach me better technique. That'll be awesome.
All right. We'll see. Or maybe we could do a Skype where you teach me how to play your songs. I'll remove like all the strings until there's like 2 strings.
Actually, I think we should probably do a 3-way Skype lesson with George so he can teach us technique.
That's true. That's even better, actually.
Yeah, that'll probably actually be like I'll be hitting my head on my computer later in that.
He'll be like, yeah, do this. It's this easy. It's like, yeah, what? Sorry.
Sweet, dude.
Yeah.
Can't do it.
Yeah, I know. Well, so then, thank you so much, Ben, for agreeing to come on the show. It's a great joy, and it was really fun talking to you today. And I hope you enjoyed yourself as much as I did. And
That's
yeah, so let's keep in touch. I'm sure we will keep in touch, and then looking forward to see more stuff from you. And go get that endorsement with DiMarzio.
Yeah, dude. I mean, seriously, they haven't responded to my 600 messages that I've sent. They didn't enjoy my bikini photo I sent of them. And so I think that they have a bad taste in their mouth with me, so on. So maybe when we get out of a pandemic and they can look past the photos that I've spammed them with, that they might actually respond to an email.
Well, let's hope so then.
I'm totally kidding, just to get off on that
note. All right. Take care then. It was nice speaking to you, and let's keep in touch. All right. Be safe.
Love to talk about gear and music at any point.
Bye.